Hi there everybody, it's Rarity here from inkybutterfly.com. Thank you for joining me today for another card making tutorial. We're going to be doing a variation of this card today, loads of dimension on it, which features the Willow tree photopolymer stamp set and the coordinating Willow dies. Okay, some of the dies are missing there. We do need this one though, so I'm going to just pull that off the sheet ready to use as well. So nice little set, no sentiments, so we can add whatever we want to that, and we've got these cute little bunnies as well to go with it. So that's what we're using today. It's our feature image. So sentiment wise, I've come to the Sending Smiles stamp set and picked out comfort and strength. I thought this might be a nice different, if you like, card that you could send to someone at a time of need, or even you know, as a sort of sympathy card with a bit of a different sort of outlook on it. Okay, so that's what we're using. So the colours I've used on this are Pear Pizzazz, basically, for the card base, the die cuts, the ink on the foliage, Early Espresso for the trunk of the tree, and then I've brought in Evening Evergreen for the sentiment. So again, we're going to just sort of mix things up. I like to give you some other colour options. Okay, oh, and also in the background I've used the new decal rectangles. So I've got loads of different rectangles now in the dies collection, which is fantastic. Okay, so the stitch rectangles are our sort of have been in there for a while, various sizes and shapes and stuff, but we've now got these lovely decal rectangles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 dies in there, which are really fab. And then we've also got these Stitch with Whimsy, which are more they emboss rather than cut, but there's lots of things that we can use now to build backgrounds and things. Okay, so what I've done ahead of time is already cut the card base, which I'm now switching to Mossy Meadow. So regular card base, some Old Olive cardstock, which we're going to use for the die cuts on the background. I've already die cut a decal rectangle. I've actually made this one a little bigger than the sample, just because I think that will fit better with the design. I really wanted more of it to show at the top, and it didn't on this sample, so I've gone with the larger one to see how that pans out. And then I've got some scraps of basic white to do stamping and die cutting on. Okay, so let's crack on then. Let's pop these things to one side for a moment. This big foliage die is what we're going to use for the Old Olive for. And then stamping wise, we are going to use Mossy Meadow for the foliage this time. Now, there's nothing to say you couldn't use some different greens. So maybe, like, you know, a darker one in the background, a slightly lighter one in the front, and all that kind of stuff. So have a little play with it, see what you think. In fact, actually, shall we try that? That's Mossy Meadow. Let's do the larger one in Old Olive, because that's the other colour that we're going to use. Let's do that, and you can see what it looks like. So there we go, nothing like changing our mind halfway through. It's fine, no problem. Okay, and I'm going to pop that over here so I can put the tree trunk in on the other side of this piece of cardstock. It's about a quarter sheet, this. Not a particular measurement at all, it's just something that I've pulled out of the scrap bin. I'm going to stick with Early Espresso for the tree trunk. Not going to worry immensely about how well the top portion stamps, because we're going to be covering most of it up. So let's just pop that in so it fits, so we can get the dies around it. Don't want dies to overlap when you're die cutting, otherwise you'll damage them. So I've used E-blocks for these larger stamps, but if they're a bit big for your hands, a Stamparatus would be a good alternative to use there. So as you might imagine, we just need to get some die cutting done now. So these are not difficult to line up at all. Just pick some reference points, top, bottom, left and right, and lay that over the top. So just leaving that in place with some low tack tape. So there's that one. Same with this one. Just wriggle that around until you've got some reference points lined up. So I'm going to pop that across there, I think, just enough to hold it in place so I don't. And then this one, like I say, it's the bottom that's going to be visible on this particular design. You can just stamp the tree together. So on the if I just bring in the stamp case, there's like a gap in this large canopy, so you can actually just stamp the images flat if you want to and not do any of the die cutting. So that's another option for you. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is just briefly pause there. I'll run all these things through the die cut machine and then we'll put everything together. Okay, so that's all our die cut pieces there, a couple of those, and you can see how they're going to sit on top of each other and offer a little bit of a contrast on there. This piece, there's lots of little bits and pieces to poke out, which is fine. Just use a pokey tool, die brush, whatever, to poke those through. It is quite delicate, so just be careful with it. So it fits across a card base quite nicely across the top there, but you could clip it down, use bits in different ways if you wanted to. But I'm just keeping mine intact, and I'm going to just pull in a silicone craft sheet and just flip that over and use some multi-purpose glue just to secure this to the card. And then anything that's overhanging, we can just snip off. So just put in some little dabs of glue in some strategic places just to hold it in place. So the main card topper is going to go over the bottom part a little bit, so probably less concerned about those bits, but certainly the bits at the top we need to just make sure secured. So that's probably enough. We can always drop a few other little pieces of glue underneath it if we feel that that's necessary later on. And then just ever so carefully we can just flip that over. Just want to make sure that all those stems go over the top. Then we can just clip off any excess. And I'm just going to use the flat of my hand just to keep that in place just for a couple of seconds. And we'll let that dry. In fact, we could put one of our ink stamp blocks on top of that. So we'll put that to one side to dry, and then we can just pull together our little tree. So like I say, this canopy piece you can overlay or just stamp directly over the top and layer it that way. We don't really want that bit featured today, so I'm just going to push that behind. Now if you wanted to, you can line it up properly with the lines if you want, but actually you can just eyeball this now and just put it wherever you want to, without having to worry about positioning it in relation to the other elements there. And I'm not going to fuss about with this at all, and I'm just going to use some tear, that's not tear and tape at all, that is Stampin' Seal, just to secure this, because we're not going to see it. Okay, then the rest we can build up as we want. Okay, the whole thing's going to go onto the card with dimensionals as well. So I'm going to flip this bit over and pop some mini dimensionals on the base here, the trunk. These are perfect for this. Okay, and then I can use my larger dimensionals. Excuse me. Oh, dearie me. Hay fever season. Okay, so we've got that prepped and ready to go. So now we've got these guys to put on, which we're going to pop up again. So these guys are going to have I'll put 3 on this one. So that's going to be supported there. But this one is going to be overlapping, but I want this to pop as well. So I want to put a single dimensional over here, but I'm going to double up dimensionals on this side so that we get an even, they're on a level, if you know what I mean, because we're having to take into account the dimension already in place from the other portion. Okay. So we'll just take those dimensional backs off. And pop that into place. Somewhere around there. It's a tree, it's organic, right? There is no right or wrong. Just put it where you feel you want to put it. Okay. I'll say, so one dimensional is overlapping on this one. So overall you've got 2, which is why you need the 2 behind there to give it that level of support. Okay. Excellent. Right, if we go back to our card base, we can just use our stamping snips, paper snips, just to trim down these little stray pieces that we've got on the side here. Ooh, might be just a speck of glue on that that's made it stick. Ooh, won't come off. So just take off the tops of these. A little bit on the side there. Okie dokie. That's those little bits tidied up. Let's put those in the bin so they don't end up stuck where they're not supposed to be. We've got our decal rectangle that we need to pop into place as well. Okay, now on my original sample I actually popped that on dimensionals as well, but we've got a lot of layers going on, so I think we're just going to stick with I'm actually going to use multi-purpose. I don't usually use multi-purpose for this kind of thing, but I want to make sure it's in the right place, so we'll just put a squiggle of that on the back. And looking to eyeball this so that it looks like it's got even margins, certainly left and right, and if anything a little high on the, in terms of the up and down sort of thing. Always looks better if it's a bit high rather than a bit low, if it's not central. So we'll pop that into place, and it just sort of gives the tree a bit of a background to pop off of. Okay, and that looks like it's going to fit on there really beautifully, so we'll take those dimensional backs off that now and pop that into place. Now you might feel that you want to ground that tree a little bit. There is a stamp in the stamp set to put in some ground if you want. I'm not going to worry about it right now, but you could do that if you wanted to. So sentiment wise then, so that lovely, what did it say, comfort and strength, isn't that nice, right? Okay, strength of a tree as well, you know, they're wonderful, wonderful things. Okay, so that's going to go on there. So we just want a little teeny strip of cardstock to do that. So again, your scrap bin is your perfect place to find something suitable for that. So I've got a whole bunch of scraps here. That looks like it's going to be perfect. So we'll pop that in, and then it's a case of choosing your colour really. Now, I've got very the deep dark greens here, but how about a pop of shaded spruce, which sort of ties in but just gives us that little pop of brightness. So we've got this mounted on my block sort of straight, so I'm just going to pop that down along that edge there, and then we'll trim this down on the trimmer. So we'll just grab that, line it up where we think it's going to be. So that looks like it's about it's going to be that big, which is just short of, well, it's a bit more than 3/8 of an inch basically. So I'm eyeballing it. This is not a measurement in any way, shape or form. I'm just eyeballing how big that piece of cardstock needs to be. Okay. If you want to cut it first, then by all means do that. There's loads of ways you can do that. So with our little sentiment now, then I'm going to use this tag punch. I'm going to slot that in. So this punch isn't really designed for slithers of cardstock this thin, this narrow, but if you line it up on the back, it really doesn't make too much of a difference. You just need to make sure that it's straight and lined up, rather than relying on the guides that are on the punch. So this is designed really to accommodate strips that are 1/2 inch, 3/4 and 1 inch in width. But like I say, it doesn't stop you using it for these skinny ones either. Okay, so that's come out fine, look. Okay, great. And because it's so skinny, we're going to bring in those mini dimensionals again. I'm going to pop one kind of on this side, so it will straddle the trunk of the tree. I was going to say stem then, but you know what I mean. Then we want a couple more over here, just to give it some stability. The poker tool comes in useful to put these precisely where I want them. If you're just plonking them on, it doesn't matter, but just find it does help when you're doing that. And I quite like to have you know, the border broken by the sentiment there, and it just sort of helps to tie it all in. So and let's have it straight though, yeah. I think that's straight. There we go, all done. That's the original. So have a play, have a think about what colours you want to use, which combination of greens. We've got loads of greens to use. How bright and stuff you want. I say we've gone for a contrast colour with the foliage on the background there, but it's tone on tone on this one, so it all gives you a different look with the same set of products. Okay, so I hope that's been helpful and you've enjoyed that. Links in the description, of course. Thank you so much for your support. Hope you stay safe and well. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.